see, this is just not working for me. So it might be sideways. It says rotate device. But, son of a bitch. Sorry. Now it's giving me the shady eye. Okay, anyway, I'm giving you the shady eye. Woo. I'm going to teach you about cause and effect. Every day I'll try. I'm going to try to make an effort to teach you cause and effect in things that you can relate to. Here's an instance. Yesterday, I was with my son. This is really annoying me. Like nobody's business. And this is cause and effect right here. I don't know what I'm doing, but I am. Did you know that you create magic in life? Yes, you create magic. Everyone's a magician. I don't even know how it works. So here I am. I'm like with my son yesterday, and I showed him his Instagram. I was trying to show him a pretty girl that had written him, and I said she's pretty, and he's like, did I date her? He's dated so many girls. He's like, did I date her? Do I know her? I'm like, I think I know her. I'm not sure. So there's no filter right now. Like he says exactly what is on his mind. So I'm like, okay, here's another pretty. I'm trying to get him engaged in his Instagram because so many people want to meet him. And but right now he has other things on his mind, you know. He's in a care facility in bed. So, and there I am being obnoxious mom. And because he never really cared about his Instagram to begin with, not like most people. He would go on there for shock value more than being. He didn't want people to know about his life. And so, but that's called cause and effect. Now, my kids have both told everybody my story, kind of. I'm like, hey, and it's an incomplete story, right? There are things that may or not be what they think. So the universe is like, fine. So anyway, my son was never really concerned about with followers or stuff like that. And he ended up with a bunch of them. And but the cool thing is the people that are sticking around are people that Noah would actually want to know. And the people that are like leaving his Instagram are people that he would have known when he was using drugs. So he needs the support and the kindness of authentic, genuine people. And but regardless, there's me going, isn't she pretty? Oh, this guy's so cute. Because I'm mom. Do you know this guy? Do you want me to like his picture for you? And he's just like, I don't care about this stuff right now, mom. Could someone like bring me food? So it was cute. So this morning I wake up and there's this email from some girl and she's like, I'd like to send Noah some sexy pictures. Is there a place I can mail them to? And I was just like, shit. Totally inappropriate. And then at the same time I said, girl, you're to me for something I did yesterday showing him pretty girl. She's like, well, he's a cute boy in the hospital. That's how cause and effect work, how it works. If you're getting dressed and you're getting ready to go out and you want to wear the most minimal clothing you can get because you want to outshine some other girl, what's going to happen is there's going to be a boy and the universe will make you cross paths with this boy again. And you're going to be trying to outshine this girl. And then you're going to get outshined. You might get the boy that night. But then that girl that didn't like get all decked out. She didn't like make that. She just went as she was. She wasn't trying to outshine anybody. She was just hoping to meet a boy that like she could go on a date with. And so you outshined everybody, boy. You strolled in there like Taylor Vaughn. Hey, I'm at the party. And then all of a sudden, Laney Boggs is over in the other corner. That guy didn't notice her that night, or maybe he did, but maybe your shine, maybe he was all hot and bothered over Laney Boggs, but Laney Boggs wasn't offering to go home with him. Taylor Vaughn was. So he got distracted with Taylor Vaughn for a minute, but then he still remembers Laney Boggs. Because Laney Boggs isn't trying to outshine anybody. She's just trying to be her best, her, and try to figure out why everybody is trying to outshine everybody. So I'm gonna go to sleep. Hi, can I get a large plain hamburger patty? And a grilled cheese sandwich, please? And a what, sir? Grilled cheese. Okay, can you get the drink for your order? No, thank you. That's a grilled cheese and a large hamburger patty. Do I have your order correct? Yes, thank you. Thank you. So anyway, I'm okay. Thank you. How are you? I was just thinking of Kabbalah. Kabbalah calls the collective energy of the universe Had, which is true. There's a collective energy of the universe. So Had is how the universe works. Some people call him God. Now, if you have one dude that's in charge of everybody, you realize there has to be some kind of law already set in motion. He's not going to just create something. He's not going to create a 50-story building without an elevator. Why? Because very few people would want to live at the top of it. So he created a system called the laws of nature. Now, if you read the Bible, you'll see the laws right there, plain and simple. The first one, don't judge. If you judge, you'll be judged. Literally. And not by the person that's judging you. You'll be judged by someone else. And then the universe says, it's like making a mental note there are 10 people at a party. It's like making a mental note to shake everybody's hand. But you see one guy, when you walk through the door, do this. And he gets snot on his hand. So you refuse to shake his hand, but you shake everybody else's hand. But nobody else saw him blow the snot on his hand. But you. So if you shake everybody else's hand, you technically still shook his hand. But the universe waits for you to shake his hand. Now, if you don't shake his hand, the universe is going to first say, not very bright, because he shook everybody else's hand. So what was the purpose of you not shaking his hand? Couldn't you just have washed your hand? And then the universe will align you. Thank you. The universe will align you to do the same thing. You'll have to like sneeze and snot will go all over your hand or something. That's how the universe works. It's that simple. It's called cause and effect. So then what happens if you don't shake that one guy's hand and you shake everybody else? Oh, that's my dog. When you present yourself with a a situation similar, then the person you want to shake your hand won't shake your hand. And they'll have that judgment that you had to that other guy against you. Now, if you shake the dude's hand and blah, all goes well, you don't judge him, you're like, ugh. And then you instinctively forget to wash your hand. You forget to wash your hand and then you go to eat something. The universe will make you see that happen with someone else to say, okay, you shook his hand, but you still should have washed your hand. And then you go to school, you have kids, and then you go to the school and your kids are like, and you send your kids to school sick. It's called a cycle. And so we don't realize we are just dominoes constantly. This you go down, as the other dominoes go down, dominoes go down. And you just go around, and it's like a fan of dominoes going around. And that's called cause and effect. So you one day I'll be able to explain it in totality in one page, I hope, or one sentence, I hope. But Einstein, it took him 9 years to write E equals mc squared, which was a statement that was written out, and it took him 9 years to turn it into a math equation. That's a brilliant man. That is a brilliant man. Now, what most mathematicians are probably baffled by is, how did he do that? What was it that he was thinking? Some think the guy is still not correct, but he's correct in the fact that he did it the way he was supposed to do it. He understood things that man could not understand, and the math equation didn't even begin to equate what he knew. But some of it's not worth telling. Why? Because if you guys knew everything, you'd go around killing each other. You'd fucking, until you realized you came back. I mean, some people would be evil. They'd be all, oh, I come back, because they're not very bright. And they'd go, I come back, so I don't care if I come back as a starving person in prison next lifetime. And I'm like, but you might in your next lifetime. There might be, the universe might give you a reason to want to care. Just because you don't have that reason in this lifetime doesn't mean it wouldn't exist in your next lifetime. The universe always gives you something to make you want to hold on. And when you no longer want to hold on, it's because the universe has, I wouldn't say used you, but you've fulfilled your lessons in this lifetime, and you're no longer needed to punish or be punished. You'll just come back to what you leave behind. So if you take your life and you have children, you're going to come back wanting a family and not being able to have one. You're going to come back an orphan maybe, or someone whose family says, I never wanted you. You're going to come back to face what you leave behind. That doesn't mean you deserve to be treated badly. We're supposed to not judge. We're supposed to show love and compassion, but we often don't. We create clubs to go shine with other people. Like, hey, I want to look amazing standing next to you. I want to be part of your club. People call them tribes. You shouldn't need a tribe. God didn't need a tribe. Dude was just trailblazing. Jesus was just trailblazing. Me, I don't have a tribe. I'm just trailblazing. Like a few people following me. I've written certain scientists, and I've tried to communicate with them so I can collaborate. So we can put it into a math equation so they can calculate and find a proper way to teach. Now, I don't know if the universe has a lot of faith that I can do it on my own, or that it's just not the right time to collaborate with them, because the universe is aligning them for stuff they were supposed to do. Plus, in their minds, they're supposed to find me and others me. So maybe that's what I have to just hold on to and know that they will calculate. Stephen Hawking said it takes him 31 years to calculate a message from God. Now, a lot of people find that suspect because they said he was an atheist. Atheism means, I'm guessing, that you don't believe there's a God. So it's, as an intellectual statement, that's like saying there was no Stephen Hawking, there's no Tanya, there's no Jesus, there's no Einstein, there's no Steven Pinker. That's like saying nobody exists. Now, if you look at God just like you, and you say, he is from another space. Say, because Stephen Hawking said, if there are aliens out there, they are highly intellectual, much smarter than us, and very dangerous to us. And I'm like, no, I don't see them that way. I see God as them. I see the way the universe works as them. So as I spend time trying to figure out the universe, trying to solve this mystery that people have not been able to solve yet, I'm like, look at my own life, which is what Stephen Hawking calculated. The person that would be able to figure it out would be able to figure it out based on their own life. That's how smart he was. I didn't know anything about Stephen Hawking personally. I didn't know anything about paradigms. I didn't know anything until I started reading to figure out what was happening to me. See, I'm a conduit. I'm a psychic. You call it a psychic. It's not a psychic. It's a messenger. I am, back in the day, they called them messiahs. And, these are messengers from God. It's not as spiritual like Lord of the Rings as you might think. It's more like scientific. It's not like, there are ghosts, but it's energy. You are aligned with your past energy from your past lives. Like that hate you steal. Say you were someone and you massacred a bunch of people. You'd be faced to have someone that you love massacred by some people. And you would have to suffer what the families suffered of the loved ones you took from them. It's really trippy. And when you understand that animals are part of your past lives, that you were in fact part animal at one point, that's where we get the saying spirit animal. Like now. So you're aligned with your past life, and that you put in this life. So I figured out a lot. And I watch it happen in real life all the time. And that's what makes me a psychic. To communicate with past energy from my past lives through the people that I'm aligned to meet. If I do the right things, I find the right clues. Yesterday, I unlocked a lot of clues. I went to see my son. I couldn't find one of his socks. Could not find one of his socks. And I'm sweating. Couldn't find one of his socks. I need to take my dog. And I had his dresser was crooked. Now the universe did that on purpose. They had someone bump into the dresser to move it out of the way. This is how the universe works. And then when I went to straighten it, I spilled something. There was something on the dresser. It was mouthwash. I spilled it. And then when I went to clean it up, which is the right thing to do, I went to clean it up. I moved the dresser, and there was Noah's sock underneath the dresser. I've been wondering about this sock for a couple of days, and I didn't blame anybody. I wasn't angry or anything. I'm just like, where the sock go? It must have got lost. I was irritated, and then another whole pair of socks. And they have raccoons on them. So it was, I just saw a sign that we call police, which means someone may call the police on me. Nothing I can do about it. But I know how the universe works, so I'm like, I haven't done anything. But the best part, the universe is exact. So you never have to get even with anybody. You don't. If someone does something horrible to you, something more horrible will happen to them. Why? Because if they did something horrible to you, they may have done something horrible to 5 more people. So the universe takes all the negative stuff they did to all those 5 people and gives it to them all at once. And that's where we get our horrible life lessons from. So be very careful what you do. Even me, I see it happened in my life, and I'm like, oh. That's when I feel like a Ronda Rousey must feel in a fight, where you just get in there, you just start kicking ass, and you just take the punches and the blows, and just and you're like, whoa, that's life. Sometimes you get tired of fighting life. Sometimes, so don't fight it. Accept the fact that whatever you are experiencing, you've contributed to with your thoughts. In your past lifetime, in this lifetime, your parents have contributed to the things that happened to you in your lifetime. But you're aligned with those parents on purpose. You're there to create their lessons from their past lifetime. The people you meet on the street, you're aligned to meet everybody you meet based on what you ate that day. So, and experience. Now, I just had dairy. I had meat earlier, and I don't eat a lot of those things in general. But I'm aligning something really big, and I'm part of something much bigger. And this is the part where I may lose some people, but I don't know what to tell you. I was visited by a council of spirits some months ago. And this is when I could experience things that other people that I've never met experience. I have visions, and these visions are very vivid. And I like, if there's a bombing, I see people like flying, I see things going, I see people just walking the street or whatever, and all of a sudden an explosion go off. And it's really trippy. This one man on social media, I was in a social media room. Jessica Simpson's looking good. I wish I looked that good. Every time, girl, you look good. Sorry, she's on a bus going by, some kind of bus. So which means she's going to appear in the news at some point. But I love Jessica Simpson. So anyway, she's much like me. What did she say about fish? Chicken of the sea or something. She was talking about tuna. I bet she's a billionaire now. The universe said, screw you. You don't have to know what a fish and a chicken are of the sea to be a brand. You don't have to know shit. And I remember one time I asked a really ridiculous question. I asked a German guy if they celebrate Thanksgiving. I wasn't even thinking. Didn't even cross my mind. And I'll end up being one of the smartest people in the world, which is fucking comedy. It's comedy. So don't ever judge a book by its cover, because I look like someone that doesn't care. I look like someone that doesn't give a damn. I've dated famous guys. I've dated rich guys. I've been in love with rich guys where they took care of me. I've dated the good-looking guy, the lead singer in the band. I've dated and actually lived with him. Male models, athletes. And I'm just an average-looking girl who had acne growing up. And is told by women all the time, you're pretty, and they don't mean it. That's why they say it. Or they just tell me, if they're mad at me, they're like, you're so ugly. I'm like, yeah, but I can still get the hot guy. So I don't really care. But then the hot guy will tell me, you're not the prettiest girl I've ever dated, because they don't like my confidence. My confidence can really shake things up. It can really shake things up. Because some people see it as entitlement, rudeness, arrogance. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, I know that if I try to impress you with something I can't live up to, it's going to end anyway. Do you ever notice those people that lie on their resumes? Some of them get caught, some of them don't, because the universe says, hey, maybe they had to lie because they knew that was the only way they could get the job, but they bust their ass at work harder than anyone else. And then the truth will eventually come out, and the boss will say, well, I'm glad you lied because you're like one of my best employees. So sometimes that'll happen. And you'll never get discovered. You'll end up telling on yourself. And that's what makes you more credible as a human being. There are some people that go through life and they cling on to anybody that'll pay attention to them. I've had friends like that. I've seen people succeed where they can get anybody to buy anything from them. And they take great pride in it. And then all of a sudden someone's left with a bunch of boxes at their house full of shit that isn't worth anything. And the quality of life deteriorates. And people like try to sell you every kind of possible thing that's not useful. Speaking of which, I'm going to make these things and I'm going to start selling them. So we can all put them by our doors. Do you ever notice, like, if you live in an apartment building, say you're not at home and the building's on fire, what if you had a little paw next to your door and it said how many pets you had in the house? like 4. They knew that paw meant there were animals in the house, and then you put 4. And if you have reptiles, you could put like a little reptile on it, or if you have, you know what I mean, you could put what kind of animal you have in there. So the firemen could go look for that amount of animals. They're looking under the bed and stuff. So it would be great. Or say you're like at work and you have a heart attack or something, there could be a thing where your work has your apartment building number or whatever, and they could say, hey, this person had a heart attack, and on their keychain or their ID or whatever, it says they have, some kind of card. It says they have 4 pets. Can you go check on their pets? There needs to be some kind of protocol for that. So I'm going to put that shit up there on my damn it. So anyway, I think things like that are practical. I, in my mind, created this system where there are a couple of systems. I simplify things. That's what I do in here. I try to make things easier. Some universal system where all of the stores that we shop at take it. It's like one of those Ralph's cards, where you swipe it at the grocery store and it keeps track of your points. Like one of those little cards, and you swipe it at every retailer you go to, and then you have an email that has all of your receipts. You don't have to give them your email address or anything at the thing. All of your receipts go to this. And that way, when you pay taxes, it automatically organizes what's tax deductible and what isn't tax deductible. And so you could have one for business. You could have a card that you swipe for business and one that you swipe for personal. It would be so much easier. Then you just forward all of that stuff to your tax guy. You don't have to keep files. You don't have to keep shit. It's just right there. Then the same with medicine. If you want to exchange something or something, then you just swipe your card and it's on there. Then you swipe your card and you get the cheapest deal anywhere. You're like, hey, this is my receipt. It automatically pops up. Retailers might not want to do that because they might not make money, but if they're smart, they would do that because the better retailer would make more money, because everybody would want to shop there if they were always going to get the lowest price, and then they'd sell twice as much instead of selling less, and people wouldn't be more inclined to return it because they'd already get the lowest price. And then you know what? It would be a matter of convenience. People would shop at the same place if everybody was guaranteeing the lowest price. You wouldn't get ripped off. You wouldn't have to drive across town and waste gas. You wouldn't have to waste time and energy of employees. And then they could educate themselves better on the things that they have in the stores. And then they wouldn't be yelling at each other. They wouldn't be frustrated with each other. But I think it should be that we put into motion. Medical records, the same. You have a little card, you swipe it. They have access to all of your medical history. That new doctor you go to, your system, all of a sudden, every doctor's appointment you've had since you were shows up. Every shot you've had, every medication you've taken, because then they can find the contraindications. A contraindication is something that, like, works against you. It's kind of like, as an esthetician, if you're trying to give someone a facial, you can't give someone a facial with a pacemaker or something. It stimulates things. So and there are certain medications you can't take with grapefruit, and there are certain medications you can't take because they make it so your birth control doesn't work. I mean, if you had all these medications, a doctor could also find a buildup and say, hey, I know that that medication that you took when you were 12, you took it for 3 years, that medication, the computer could figure out what could be going wrong with you much quicker than a doctor, because a doctor's only going to have the information you gave them that day. Last month, you could have had some kind of rash that showed up for a very long time. That could have been an indication of some kind of trauma going on with your liver, but it could have went away and manifested into something else. And it could take him 6 months sending you to different doctors, because that's what a lot of HMOs do. Oh, you're going to go to this guy, and you're going to go, because you got to pay that copay. They want to get as much out of you as they can, and they're only skilled at what they're skilled at. So it would alleviate that need to write something down every time, and it would prevent doctors from prescribing over prescribing medications, getting away with it. It would keep doctors in line, it would keep patients safe, and it would help prevent certain things from happening. There are people that lie and don't tell about other doctors, and a doctor will go give you a prescription. You could have gotten one in Mexico or one in Paris or something, and you could be killing yourself and not realizing you're killing yourself. So a lot of these people that overdose on drugs, sometimes they're prescribed medications. So it would prevent a lot of negligence. And then eventually we wouldn't need all these medications. We wouldn't need it, because the universe is saying, hey, if nobody's paying attention, then nobody's paying attention. So if you want to get away and over-medicate yourself, the universe says, fine, then we will let your child over-medicate themselves. And then we have an epidemic of children on drugs. I mean, it's an epidemic. It's like nobody's business. And that's because women are going out and getting Botox and fillers, and women are online talking about boozing it up. And then they're like, why is my teenager this? Or they're judging people for boozing it up, or they're judging people for doing drugs. It's just a disease. And so I know that my child started doing drugs because I tried drugs for the first time when I was 35. No, I was 30. Actually, I wasn't 35. I was 33 or 34. And I got stoned. I tried pot. And then I had Noah shortly after. The universe wanted me to try drugs because of something I must have judged in my sister, my family, who a lot of people in my family did drugs. So or alcohol. And I used to go around, I don't do drugs, I don't drink, I don't, if I drank, it was just like rarely, and I would get sick right away. So the universe didn't want me to drink based on whatever I did in my past life. That wasn't part of my plan. But it was part of my plan to judge so that my children, my other son, would partake in drugs. But the universe is very, very exact in what it gives you. And it's almost like they are little aliens going like, and just when I went, there was a bomb somewhere in the world. Every sound I make, everything I do. The other night I was listening to rap the night before the shootings in Westlake Village. I was like, I mean, I was a gunman in my own mind. I got into the rap. I was like, motherfucker. I saw fire, and I was just like, and all of a sudden there were all the fires. I was like, oh, damn. And I don't even think anything of it anymore because I know that's how the universe works. Do you notice that all these kids that are listening to rap and stuff, they're actually becoming these rap videos? Kids are getting shot up. They're shooting heroin. The universe said, "Oh, you want to shoot things up? Here's some heroin. Here's some drugs. Shoot them up, and then go shoot somebody up." It doesn't fuck around. Be careful what you listen to, how much of it you listen to. Be careful of the lyrics that come out of your mouth, because they somehow become a reality. It may be a temporary, you might be going bitches and hoes, and then someone comes up and calls you their bitch or their hoe. And you're like, what the fuck? I dated this comedian one time for off and on for 4 years, and he's a well-known comedian. And he was always very polite to me, always very, like, I wouldn't say respectful, because he was sleeping with a lot of other women, but he was polite. He never called me a bitch or a hoe or anything, except for this one time we were at his house and he had some friends over and he said my bitches while I was there. I'm like, excuse me? And he goes, you can leave. I was just like, oh no, payback's your bitch, motherfucker. And you know what happened? His career went to shit right after. God's like, this woman has never been disrespectful to you, ever. When she buy you a fucking fish aquarium, 100, even before I gave him the birthday present, I asked, I said, I'm going to buy you this 100-pound saltwater fish aquarium, and I'll pay for the care of it for a year. But will you want to take on that risk? Because it's really expensive. Will you want to take on that responsibility after the year? That was a responsible thing to do. You don't just give someone a gift like that and not worry about the fish being cared for or whatever. And he's just like, yeah. And so I gave it to him. They delivered it. They set it up. They took care of it for a year. And then he was on his own. And the universe aligned some other things in our history, and I won't talk about them, but that man has a lot on his plate. A lot. And but I do know that his career went to shit after that. He's still doing comedy and he still performs in Las Vegas, but I haven't seen him make any movies since. Like, I haven't. If he did, I haven't seen them. I don't recall any. Maybe he did make one movie that failed greatly. But those things you say to people, the universe says, Tanya never treated him this way. But maybe it was disrespectful for her to be with him after she found some things out about him. But so I paid for those. But to imply that I was a bitch in any way when he'd always said that, like, I was a good woman, I was a really good person, and he never spoke poorly of me, ever, until that moment, and he lumped me in with bitches. And I was just like, I take offense to that. I don't care if you date other women, but why we gotta be bitches? That's just how men talk. That's not how you talk about me. If you're gonna call me a bitch, I'm gonna turn into one. But if you're just gonna say the women that I date, I'll be like, hey. Because I was seeing other guys. I wasn't like, I'm not that way. I don't own people. We don't own anybody. We like to think we own people. You said you would love me forever. You cannot say that about anyone. Have you ever told God you were mad at him? You can't love everyone consistently every second of the day without feeling pain at some point, like being felt let down or like disappointed, you can have great love, but great love comes with reality. How many times have I looked at my kids and gotten irritated with them and said, screw them, they were mean to me, they hurt my feelings. They're on their own for 5 minutes. Let them deal with it. We've all done it. We've all done it. So, but I still love them. You can love some. I'm talking about romantic relationships. Your children and your family are not the same as romantic relationships. But if you take a good look at your romantic relationship and at the end you still don't have some love for the person, then that's something internal that you need to take a look at, because that's when you have to go back and say, I was using them then. If I didn't, because you'd still love them. Like, even the motherfucker that fucked up my life, I had to participate in that being fucked up in some way. So I'm like, yeah, I don't hate him. He just makes me, I just can't stand him. Can't stand him. But I know that 20 years from now, I won't even think that. I'll think of him fondly. Not even fondly, but with nostalgia. Like, oh, yeah, I remember him. Thank God that didn't last. That was going nowhere, you know? But we do that with relationships, but that doesn't mean you have to want to. Because right now, oh, damn, I want to bring him down. But at the same time, I know the universe will bring him to reality check, and it will teach him a lesson. And hopefully, he'll be at a place of compassion and kindness at some point. But that's not something I can create for him. That's something he will create on his own, and the universe will teach him through his own way. Not to judge anybody, and we're going to. It's what we do, but try not to. And if you do, be aware that you're just paying for your own negative energy.